Hey everyone, welcome back to automation. So if I sound a little bit different, it's because I've been sick. I was sick for pretty much an entire week, which was not fun in the slightest. And well, I'm back, but my voice is not fully back. I just really have the drive to make something. I want to make a video, and that's why I'm here today. And that kind of got me thinking. I was bedridden on Friday last week, and I was just laying in bed looking at the ceiling, feeling terrible because I had some stomach flu issues. Just thinking about what to do with my life and whether or not to jump off of a bridge because man, oh man, that stuff sucks. But thankfully I'm feeling better these days. But I was thinking about YouTube ideas and I was thinking about V8 engines because if you haven't followed this channel for very long, you should know I love V8 engines. Easily my favorite type. And so that got me thinking, what goes into the best V8 engine? And this is exclusively 250% my opinion. What is the best V8 engine combo? The classic V8, the thing that I aspire to. Let's go for it. And so here we are in the BeamNG creator, and we're going to be creating a 90 degree V8 engine. Now, before we get too far into this, I just wanted to say, Raid Steal Your Wallet Legends has been contacting me like crazy in order to sponsor a video. And I said, no, I'm definitely not selling out to them. They've reached out to me before with ridiculous money to put an ad of theirs in a video, and I've always said no. You will not find that kind of sponsorship on this channel. This channel is user supported. I've got YouTube members and Patreons, but also just you watching this now. You're supporting me, and for that I am eternally grateful. So thank you. Definitely don't want to sell myself out, and I don't need to because this is not my full-time job. Thank goodness. Anyways, let's build this V8. So yeah, I tend to like 90 degree V8s. That's just my style. I don't know. 60 degree V8s are cool too, but 90 is where it's at. Again, aluminum block is just really cool to me. You get a big engine and it's fairly lightweight. Aluminum block has always seemed like something that's exotic, and these days that's not that crazy, but an aluminum block V8 engine, pretty darn cool in my opinion. In terms of liters, it's hard to say because there's so many classics. You've got 5, 5.7, 5.3, 4.8, 6.4s. I mean, if you go into the Hellcat engines, you get 6.2 as well. But then we're not going to do forced induction. This is going to be NA. There are so many classic V8 engine sizes, even Ferrari, like 4.5 V8s. My personal level of comfort is sort of in the 6-liter territory. I like to see 6.2 liter engines and above, even though that's not really practical for most situations. That's too much displacement for the average vehicle, but it's just cool. I've always told myself if the Hemi, I have a 5.7 Hemi Ram, if the engine in that goes, I'm going to swap it for a 6.4. Just straight up swap for a 6.4. I don't need the displacement, but it's cool, and that's the only reason. So for the sake of cool, I'm going to make this a 6.6 liter V8 that is big, but not too big. It's not a 7.3 Godzilla or something like that. It's just big, and that's cool. Now, I had a very long inner discussion about what is the best setup for the valve train. Do you go push rods like all of the American V8s? Actually, Ford is overhead cam now, but push rods are classic LS engine style. So push rods it is. And if you've got an aluminum block, you should probably go for aluminum heads as well. So what you're looking at here is a 6.6 liter push rod all aluminum V8. Very race oriented. This is not the kind of thing you'd find in your average truck. Everything here would be cast. Now the internals, obviously we want strong stuff. We want like forged components, billet steel, whatever. That is probably the highest performance, but trying to be slightly more realistic with it. I mean, we're not going to make crazy, insane power with this engine. I'm just, again, going to set the power level that I think is reasonable. But essentially, the components give us a focus. Is it torque heavy? Is it RPM heavy? What is the focus of this engine? And I kind of want to split it somewhere in between. We want that low-end grunt. We want that decent top end, good RPM limit as well. Hopefully past 7,000 even if I can. That would be my ideal engine. At the end of the day, this is really just my ideal V8. That's what we're getting to here. With that being said, I'm going to give it forged internals, just regular forged steel, forged with a harmonic dampener, which will hopefully let us get a little higher in the RPM. This stuff here is darn important, but I'm going to come back to it when I get into tuning. And yes, my ideal V8 is naturally aspirated. Oh yeah, I can't believe I forgot to mention the 6.2 Mercedes in the AMG cars that they have. That is one of my like all-time favorite sounding V8 engines. Just such a nice sound from those. I would absolutely love to own any 63 AMG. Any of them. Somehow I gotta get the money for maintenance though, my goodness. So I know a lot of people, like my grandfather as an example, big carburetor guy. I'm more interested in fuel injection, probably gonna be EFI, and we'll just run like premium fuel. That's probably good enough. 95 is good. Okay, so I haven't really done anything here. I've basically just put everything on it so we have the look. And the tuning is looking like 345 horsepower with ridiculous valve float that is killing it, but I can fix that. I just wanted to show you what the engine looks like because that's sort of the entire point of this. Tubular headers, just cool stuff. I've got multi-point EFI on here. This is very, very classic LS looking engine, except obviously bigger with being a 6.6. Similar displacement to the Duramax. You got your fuel rails, you got your LS style intake, full aluminum. Essentially, this is a big block Corvette engine, like overboard Corvette engine, essentially. Not quite the 7-liter though that they have in the, what is it, ZR1? I don't know enough about Corvettes. I've got so many bucket list cars. There's so many cars that I want to drive and own eventually, and one of them is a Corvette. I absolutely have to, at some point, own a Corvette. The problem is, as soon as I get a car, I don't want to get rid of it. And I have basically hard limited myself to not having more than one project car. But we'll see how that goes in the future. Because right now, it's one project car, and that has to go before I can get anything else. But I may have to lift that, because I'm going to be stuck with a car forever, like my Tibron. Tibron video is coming, by the way. I have some terrible, excellent ideas for it, including but not limited to building a full exhaust for it as a way to practice. I think essentially that car will be good practice for my ability to mod. Anyways, let's fix this engine because it's got problems. We can't get VVL, whatever, not a big deal. We got VVT right here. Get a little bit more power out of that. Instead of, well, I did say I wanted it to be better at RPM, so springs and lifters are going to have to be more firm. My goal for horsepower, just to unleash the veil a little bit, is about 450. I think like 440, 450 horsepower is just a good like V8 horsepower number. Now I know that this is a 6.6 liter engine and it should theoretically be like 600, so yeah, this is my ultimate V8, but again, that's the fun part about this, is if you have anything different, anything that you like specifically in engines, drop it in the comments. Let everybody know. Let's see what the consensus is here. I could have done some stuff like on flat plane crank, but even though those are really cool, I'm just more interested in the forged steel. I don't know. Flat plane sounds wickedly cool though. Those GT500s, and I think the GT350 as well. Flat plane crank. Insane sound coming from those cars. Okay, I'm just gonna hit an AI tune here, try to tune it for power. I don't know if this is working now or if it's not. 412, so it does work. But at least it gives us a basis to start with, and it looks like I'm gonna need to do more if I want to get to the power that I want. This is just not gonna be enough engine for it. It seems like our valves are causing a mild restriction, but like that's not enough to do anything bad here. Okay, I kind of hit the cheat code button a little bit. I gave it long tube headers, which you can see here, and I also upped it to ultimate fuel, and I think, I mean, we're running exhaust and stuff, so this could be more efficient than it is. Bypass valves maybe would give it a little bit better efficiency, but 428.6 horsepower. That's not too bad. Let me hit that AI tune again. 438 with the bypass valves. So that is pretty much exactly where I thought it would be. 438 horsepower, 569 newton meters of torque, and it makes it around 6,500. That's not bad at all. It's very reliable. this should be a good engine. Okay, a little bit of cam profile and I'm making a lot more power. We are losing down low torque though. Again, it's the compromise. Maybe 450, that's the number. 450 horses, a little bit down on the torque at the beginning, but it makes good power. It's got good RPM. I think that this is just a generally good all-around V8 engine, and that's the exciting part about this. It doesn't take long to whip out something decent, especially with the AI tune. It kind of gives you a baseline. Pretty easy to do in this game if you want to just make something cool. Let's give this thing a listen. It sounds like an automation V8 engine. That's pretty much exactly what you would expect from this game. And the V8s, no issues there, all good. You can get creative with the exhaust on V8s, but stuff like the LS always sounds like an LS. There's no way around it. That's where some of the more unique engines do have a significant advantage. And again, personally, I just love the sound of certain engines, some of those like very unique stuff. They're like the C63 AMGs, and then I believe Pagani also at one point used the same engine as well, which is why their cars sound absolutely ridiculous in a good way. What is your favorite car sound? I know everybody says LFA, those cars sound amazing, but these odd engines always have just a nice sound to them. Something basic like this, maybe not as much. It's still cool though. Personally, I actually like Infiniti G35 trombone noises with the proper exhaust, especially when you're in the car, giving it a little gas. Oh man, that basically got me through college. Okay, I've called this the classic V8. It's the 6.6 with a 450 horse on it. It should be good. I mean, the only thing we can do now is put it in something, right? I was thinking about using the Fjord that we made last week. I do have some other vehicles, although they might all be broken. It's very, very likely that these cars are broken. Okay, so after having to restart the game and messing around with things due to a Lua error, which Lua is the UI, I believe, which is unfortunate. I forgot to mention, but thankfully one of the bonuses about being sick was the game got updated when I was sick. In fact, it got updated like yesterday, so that means that there are some new errors and new issues, but the V8 engine fits really nicely in this 370Z drift car that I made, which is just super cool. And just look at it in there. That is perfect. Like, it just fits perfectly in those frame rails, which is so exciting. So we have a client for this car. We could try it out in BeamNG. So give me a couple minutes. I'm just going to redo this car a little bit, mostly just change the gearing, a little bit of style stuff, and then let's try it out in Beam. All right, here is the car in BeamNG. You'll probably notice I made a couple of changes. It's orange now, the wheels are different, the wheels are white. Again, there's some weird texturing stuff going on, but whatever, that is an intercooler on a naturally aspirated car, don't worry about it. Yeah, I just basically slap this together super quickly just to get something done. But I changed the stance of the car a little bit, I gave the wheels a different look, and I've prepped it more for race and less for drift. Keep in mind now this is a 450 horsepower rear-wheel drive 370Z with a 6.6 liter aluminum block V8 engine, and it's just cool. So let's turn the ESC completely off if it'll let me. It will not, but I'm gonna lock the rear diff. I might just remove ESC with the BeamNG settings. We'll see if that's necessary. Let's go. Okay, drag tires apparently are actually too much grip, which was a mistake on my part. 450 horsepower in this is pretty wickedly quick though. Yeah, it is not slow in the slightest. This car is quite drivable, although I think it needs to be heavier in order to not roll over as much. Also, I should probably do something about the massive traction it's got. Just insane traction. My anticipation was more that it would just drive with wheel spin. That was kind of what I thought was going to happen, so I gave it really sticky tires, but I was wrong. I was way wrong. Oh, into the ditch. Oh my goodness. 370Z is also one of my dream cars. I remember seeing the brand new Nismo 370Zs for sale for like 40 grand Canadian at the dealerships and being like, man, I wish I could afford it. Like, that would be my dream car at the time. Keeping in mind as well, they only have 2 seats, so not exactly practical. But for a young single guy, come on now. These days, not so much. Maybe I should do a my ideal sports car video, because the more I think about it, the more any sports car I buy or any project car I buy has to have 4 seats at least, because I want to be able to take my kids and my wife wherever I go in my cool car. I don't want to just be enjoying it alone. Which does cross the Corvette off the list, but it keeps Porsche 911 on there, so hey, options are open. Okay, the brakes, really strong, no issues there. I did give this thing a 6-speed manual, which I think is helping. I'm going to quickly run into the settings here, and I'm just going to take off the ESC. Okay, so I tried to take off the ESC and traction control and such, but it just will not let me, and so I can't do it, unfortunately. It lets me take them off, but it won't let the car work without them. It comes up with some kind of odd error, so it is what it is. I'm stuck in sport mode, and also rolling over constantly. Maybe I'm taking off the diff lock. That might help. So talking about the engine, because the engine was the entire point of this video, I do feel like I have been highly successful in creating what I wanted to create. This is probably the ultimate V8 engine in my mind. I know that there's better, there's higher horsepower, you could have a 5 million horsepower V8, whatever. That's not really the point. The point is just to have something a little bit more realistic, a little bit more classic. I love the idea of just taking a truck engine out of something and then putting it into something where it's not supposed to be. That has always been a huge, like, project idea on my mind. And that's sort of where this love for the big V8s, pushrod engines comes from. Truck engine in a car where it's not meant to be is just, I don't know, it tickles me in the right way. I don't think I've ever said tickles me before. 350Z or 370Z, very, very good candidate for this kind of thing, although the engines in them are great. Putting a V8 in there just changes things drastically. Weight balance difference, ton more power. Oh yeah, it's just cool stuff. Admittedly, the VQs do not necessarily respond to mods that well. I mean, yeah, you can mod them, but they're already really tightly strung, so there's only so much you can do before just blowing it up. You're going to make easier power with a V8, so that's what you do. Well, I can squeak the tires a little bit, which is good. I was hoping to be able to do a wicked burnout, but I don't think that this will let me. No, we just get a little bit of black and that's it. That's all I can do before it flips over, or does a complete barrel roll, whatever. Guys, that's it for this video before my voice gives out. This video brought to you by Throat Coat. That's the only thing keeping me alive right now, but legit, that stuff works really good when you put honey in it, my goodness. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks I'll be back to normal and just feeling good and voice back and able to deliver to you my usual stuff. And until then, I'll see you guys again soon. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments what your favorite V8 is, favorite V8 configuration. I'm interested to know what you guys think, what the consensus is, and I have a big feeling that it's more due to where you've grown up than anything, because people who grew up in Europe, not really used to the big pushrod V8s, probably something smaller, I would anticipate. Anyways, more to come, more stuff to do. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.